Hey y'all, it's your girl Chef Kyra and welcome back to another episode of New York Eats. Welcome to my food channel where we talk about everything nice, sugar and spice, baby. So for today's episode, we are going to be making a mushroom and pea risotto. This recipe is going to be on the vegetarian side, not necessarily vegan, because there is some byproducts of the animal that I'm going to be having in this recipe. But I just love risotto. It's an absolute classic. It's very simple and easy to make, so let me show you how to make it. Alright y'all, so let's get started. So these are going to be some of the ingredients that you're going to need for today's recipe. I do have a couple of different styles of mushroom. I have some king oyster mushrooms, some shiitake mushrooms, which I absolutely love. They're so bold in flavor. I also have some lion's mane mushrooms. If you're gonna purchase Parmesan cheese, this is the brand that I definitely recommend. And this is what it looks like. I always get shredded parm because it melts the best, and you don't necessarily, I feel like you could kind of get away with shaved parm, but shredded is your go-to. And definitely get it by this brand, because like other brands, I don't know, I had gotten some Parmesan cheese for the last episode or the episode before with the spinach and artichoke dip from Market 32, and it was just horrible. So with all that being said, as you guys know, I always put up a list to show you exactly what ingredients that we did use, because I know it's always usually a lot that I have. But let's just get started and make this risotto. Simple, quick, easy, and to the point, and a great meal for the family. So I have a cute little small pot of water going. I did add a good healthy pinch of salt. So you want to season your water until it tastes like the ocean. And we are going to do the full process of blanching and shocking, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So the first step is to get your water all ready and going, and this is just going to help really penetrate the peas and season them on the inside, and also just really bring out that beautiful color. So I just got some fresh peas. I didn't really want to do frozen peas because of, you know, the water content that comes out of it. So to properly get these peas ready and cooked, you want to blanch and shock them. So I'm just going to put at least about half the bag, because I don't want to overwhelm the risotto with so many peas. And we are just going to let this sit in here for about a minute. And then once it's done, you know, cooking up in this water, we're going to strain it. And then I have my little makeshift ice bath. So this is just a bowl with a couple of ice cubes and some water, and we're just gonna set the peas in here. So basically what's happening is that we've started the cooking process in the pot, and then once we transfer it over to the ice bath, it shocks the peas, stops the cooking process so that they don't overcook, and it just gets them par cooked and ready to go, so that when we do add it into the risotto, it'll finish cooking, and we're not just starting from the beginning where the peas are raw and they may not cook necessarily properly while it's in the risotto. Now that we have our peas nice and strained, they have such a beautiful green color, we're going to stop the cooking process by dumping them into the ice bath. So this is just going to sit off to the side while we begin the risotto, and in the meantime, while the rice will be cooking, then we'll take this out and dry them off and have them ready to go inside. In the meantime, I had cut up our mushrooms. So we have our little variety of mushrooms here, and then our onions here. And yeah, I mean, you know, we're just going to leave this here for the time being. But the next step is to get started on the rice. But while our pan is heating up, I'm just going to add a nice touch of oil. So now that our pan is heated up, we're going to add our onions. And I have my pan on a low heat to start off, and we're going to turn it up just a bit. Don't want the onions to burn. So you're just gonna mix this around, and you want to cook your onions until they're fairly translucent, so clear. And when your onions are about halfway, you want to add in your garlic. Now we're just going to add a teaspoon of garlic. And like I said, you want to keep your flame at a decent heat because you don't want your garlic or your onions to burn. And we're just going to let this cook off a little bit more. So now is about the time that you want to add your rice. And so what we're doing right now is toasting the rice. You want to do this because it activates the starch in the rice, and it just helps for that like creaminess that risotto has. And I like to do it at this point where I have my onions and garlic going, because as the rice is toasting, then I can just, you know, add in that little extra flavor to the rice while it's cooking. So you just want to mix this around. Make sure you get, you know, your onions and your garlic mixed in really well. And just let that toast up a little bit more. While your rice is toasting, you can add in your mushrooms, because this is going to cook down and release a little water. Add a little pat of butter to help with the toasting process, and we'll just put it right in the middle so that it can start to melt. And we'll just continue to keep toasting the rice, cooking down a little bit of mushrooms. Point for extra added flavor, I like to add some white wine. I have some Pinot Grigio, and I just got this from my local supermarket, so we're just going to add a good splash of it. And just let that cook down. Just a touch more of wine. It's really going to bring out all of those delicious flavors. And don't worry, you won't be intoxicated, because all of the oil, alcohol will cook off. We're just going to let this cook down a little bit more. And as you can see, even though I haven't added anything, because we toasted the rice, when you pull back, all of that liquid is starting to thicken up, and that's all of the starch that's been activated in the rice. Decided to cut these up into quarters, and we're just going to toast them off in a little oil or butter in this pan and make them nice and crispy. Step would be to add some vegetable broth or vegetable stock, whichever one that you'd like to choose. And we're gonna pour enough that it ends up coating the rice. So whenever you're making risotto, You don't just cook it like regular rice. You have to cook down a liquid and then add more. So once this liquid is cooked down and starts to get to a point where it's dried up, then we are going to add some more of the vegetable stock. You also want to be careful about this point because some vegetable broths or stocks are high in sodium, and you're also still going to be adding the Parmesan cheese, which has, you know, a pretty high salt content, and then also just adding regular salt. So if you wanted to do half and half, where maybe 2 of the times that you add a liquid, it could be vegetable broth, and then the other 2 times can be water, so that it's a nice even balance and there isn't much, you know, sodium that's coming through your risotto. So we're just going to stir this around a little bit, and now at this point, like I said, we're going to repeat the same process, and you want to cook the rice granules until they start to become clear. So currently right now, the rice granules are still white, and it just means that the rice isn't cooked yet. And so if you were to try to, you know, just cook it once with the liquid that we've just put in and call it a day and add your cream and cheese, the rice wouldn't be fully cooked and it'd be crunchy. So you want to make sure that you cook your rice until it's par cooked, which means that it's not fully cooked, because we're also going to be adding some cream and cheese, and that has to cook down and, you know, get all up in there. So with that being said, we are just going to, like I said, let this cook down and repeat the same process 3 more times until the rice is cooked. That the liquid is starting to get low again, we're just going to add some more vegetable stock. Mix everything around, and once it gets low to that level again, then I'll switch off to some water to add to it next. Alright y'all, so now this is the perfect time to start to add your cream and your cheese. So as you can see, the rice is like doubled in size, it's not white anymore, and it's on the money. Heavy cream, I'm just going to put a good amount of it in there. I'd say that's about like 1/4 cup of cream, and then I'm just going to put a good helping of Parmesan cheese. And now we're just going to mix this up. Now, because we want to keep our peas nice and green and plump and have that little snap of texture, we're going to add our green peas now and mix that in. And look how beautiful that is, y'all. And it just adds a nice little color to the risotto. It gives it a little pop, a little added flavor. And now that's pretty much your risotto, y'all. So now it's the plating part. So I'm just going to take this and move this to the back. So now for garnish, I have my little pan here. I have a little bit of cooking oil and some butter. So I'm just going to mix that in. And you just want a little bit, y'all. You don't even want that much. So I mix the cooking oil and the butter together. I mix the cooking oil and butter together so that the butter doesn't burn. And then we have our mushrooms that we're going to be using for garnish. So I'm just going to start off with the quartered mushrooms, and we're just going to sear them and fry them up on each side to get that crispy color. Crispy golden color, and also just crispy taste as well, or texture. Finished product of the risotto. It's so creamy and delicious, and I am ready to dig in. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.